Hey guys, welcome back to another Album Book Club interview. This week we're interviewing the Upstart Crows out of New York. These guys are really awesome, pretty heavily inspired by Willwood and the Tapeworms, so if you like them, you're going to like these guys. Alright, let's get right into the questions here. First one we have for you is, where did the name come from?
The name came from when I went to school for engineering as well as acting, and I took like this history class on like theater throughout the histories, and I learned a lot about like the past with Shakespeare and stuff like that. And apparently, one of the terms he had, because he was like his whole thing was he was like a poor guy who got into playwriting, which is a rich man's game, and he's this poor dude writing plays, which only rich dudes do, and they like, who is this guy? Screw him. He sucks. He's just this upstart crow. Fuck him. Get out of my face. And I just thought that was kind of, punk rock. So I was like, oh, we should call the band that. So
I really like it. It's a catchy name. It definitely catches my eye.
we lucked out because the only time when you like type that in, you get like a British television show and a bunch of local theaters. So it's like there's not too much crossover with the name.
It's pretty impressive you found a Shakespeare quote that no one knew.
Yeah, it's a mix of theater nerds and history nerds, that crossroads. It doesn't really happen that much. So,
what are some of y'all's biggest inspirations as far as musically?
Personally, that evolves so much, but a big one at the start was definitely the White Stripes. I'm a big Jack White fan. I don't know if it's really comes out anymore, but that was like a real starter for me to really like I was so obsessed with it. Then like have you ever heard of the band The Taxpayers? They're kind of like an indie, like a folk punk kind of band.
I haven't, but I'm probably gonna go check them out.
Oh, they're very good. It's very much like that jazz meets folk punk energy that's just so crazy and energetic, and it's so much fun. And like other artists like Bill Wood, who's like another local guy who I discovered recently that's kind of really more shaped my sound with like our new single Pray that just came out. It's very influenced by him. And yeah, those are my top three at least. Aaron, what are yours?
I'd say the Foo Fighters are probably, my favorite band. I love Taylor Hawkins. That's my guy. R.I.P. Yeah, that's my favorite. He's a beast. Actually, Drumeo actually just put up, and I'm not sure how recently, but they put up like PDFs of almost all the songs that he's played on with the Foo Fighters. So that's been really cool to dig through. Who else? I guess I really like Tower of Power as well. Dave Garibaldi. I love that drummer. He's written one of my favorite drum books. And then I guess, I really like Green Day, but the third, is not really as important because I like so many things, but Foo Fighters for sure. That's my favorite.
Which Garibaldi book is it? Is it Future Sounds?
Yeah, that's my favorite. I love that book.
I'm a drummer too.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, so
So we were kind of talking about it a little bit before we started, but have you guys had any struggles finding backing in such a like niche genre that you guys play in?
Yes, I've definitely, I would say we've kind of hit a little bit more of like found our audience more online than in person, but there was like a number of years, like I started this project back up when I was living in New Hampshire, and that place is mostly like folk punk bands, Midwest emo, and metal. Nobody gave a shit about the shit we were making at the time, so we decided to move to New York. And we've definitely found bands that we like, and the great thing is you don't have to be making the same like type of music as everyone else. You just kind of like everyone's just kind of vibing out to what everyone else is making. But I would definitely say that like the fervor for what we're doing is definitely more online than in person.
Yeah, I joined the band more recently, but I could definitely say we have more attention now, I feel like, from people.
People are jumping on board.
Another question we love asking, do you guys have any fun live stories, any big mishaps or just big goofs?
We had that last gig when we played at Snug Harbor, and it's no real disrespect to the other bands. We were like, okay, do we need to bring a drum kit? That classic thing of like, oh, we're going up to go play a gig. Do we need to bring all of our stuff, or you guys got something? And the venue was like, oh yeah, we've got one, don't worry. And we get there, and it's like mostly just like a bass drum, and we're a bungee cord toms on top of it, so that we had some gaff tape, and we're like taping stuff down. I think Aaron had to literally put his snare drum in his lap so that he could actually...
it fell, so I had to hold it for one song.
Yeah, so I think that's that one. And I've played some gigs up in New Hampshire where we we're playing our set, and this drunk guy comes out of nowhere with a saxophone and just starts ripping it while midway through our set, and just crazy stuff like that. I don't think anything.
No, that is crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty. Those are the two that I can think of right now.
So you went and hired him on Prey. Then.
Yeah, that was actually a guy from Stefan from a band called The Creatures that I discovered. Which honestly, they're doing what I would if we didn't have Adam. I was fully gunning to get a baritone sax because they're basic same setup, but they have a baritone sax instead of a bass player, and it rips. It's so cool. Highly recommend. They're cool guys. But yeah, I want more horns personally. I keep telling the boys we just need it. But I think you're right. I watched your review and you guys kind of compared us to a ska band a little bit, and I thought that was kind of. I was like, listen to the next one.
It's a really high energy thing. I think you nailed it. Talking about some of the bands that you like, it just really makes sense.
Yeah, it's high energy. There, it's funny because if you wanted to get I really like. My grandfather listened to a lot of country music and swing music, so a lot of like fast tempo stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't have a full horn section, so how do I make this work in a rock band situation without sounding full rockabilly? So that's kind of the tightrope line we're walking.
Speaking of Prey, I want to know if you guys are working on a new album, and is it going to stray closer to what we saw in Prey?
I mean, I'm definitely being, Aaron can attest to this. You can even hear it in our comparisons to who we follow, like what the artists we like. I am definitely trying to lean towards that path because I find it more interesting, that mixing of rock with other genres. I very much like I can't normally just like straight up rock is not really my thing. I like to kind of mix and match, but I've got a couple stuff that's like cooking in the back. I'll be honest, we got this EP coming out April 25th is the date we're planning on releasing it, and I am just full focus on just trying to get this thing done.
Man, you guys are releasing something almost on my birthday?
Yeah, you know what? The guys,
my birthday's the next day.
The guys, they called me. They were like, hey, his birthday's coming up.
Man, I really love you guys for that. Awesome.
But after this EP release, because this was very much like we've been writing some songs, and then we started working with an agent, Jackie, and she's like, hey, you guys should release an album or an EP. And I'm like, oh, okay. And we kind of like put all these songs together. And I would say this is like a very, we're trying different things. We're seeing what works and what doesn't, even like production wise. Like I imagine you can we did different people mixing for each individual song and stuff like that. And like working with different producers. And it's all little different songs. It's an experiment.
Speaking of, what is your workflow like in a studio environment? Like, who's the main songwriter? What tracks do you lay down first, etc.?
I would say I'm the main. I do the lyrics and guitar first. Usually get the structure down. I then come to the book, have my little box of tricks, bring it to the boys, and be like, "Does this make sense?" And then usually, Adam and Aaron usually are coming up with their stuff. And then once we actually get into the recording process, I'll do demo guitar, voice, but drums. Drums are the first thing we do. We try to get those down perfect, because that's usually where we're going to build everything on top of, because my vocals and guitar can change so dramatically. So, and I'm so finicky, so I want to make sure that's at least perfect so that I can just experiment later.
That's probably the hardest thing in any creative project, let alone in the studio, is just knowing when it's done.
Yeah, I maybe it's just because I'm getting older, but I'm just that manic part of my brain, I'm trying to calm it down and be just it's gonna be okay, man. Just get it out there.
All right, I've got another one for you. Is there any piece of gear that's been inspiring for you recently, whether or not in the studio or just in a writing environment?
Man, I gotta give it to my new big fat snare drum. Gotta give it to it. It's been cooking. Because I do recordings, for other people. So it's just been a blessing. I love it. It's perfect. It makes any snare sound phenomenal. Yeah. That's my number
that
one
new
right
snare,
now.
man. It's beefy.
But no, dude, any new snare now. Doesn't matter what snare. You put the big fat on top of it, it's perfect.
So every interview, we always ask for an album from you guys for us to review on our weekly podcast.
You know what? I'm gonna pick one. I'm actually gonna pull up my Spotify and Give me 2 seconds, and I'll give you guys my recommendations. I'll give you 2 options.
Have you guys ever heard of Marina Phages?
Have we ever heard of her? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you should check out any album of hers is really good. But I was listening to Epica and Fantastica today from 2019. Really good. You would like it.
And my suggestions, I'll give you my first suggestion from the Taxpayers is their concept album, God Forgive These Bastards. The songs from The Forgotten Life of Henry Turner. It's a concept album about a homeless man who lives down in Georgia. It's a great album. Highly recommend. And the other one is Will Wood, the other artist I talked about. Will Wood and the Tapeworms. Everything is a Lot. If you want they're both that kind of like weird, loud, aggressive, jazzy music. So.
All right. We are off to our favorite part of the show. This is the Plug Yo Shit segment of the show. This is where you guys get to plug all of your shit that's happening, all your socials, everything you got. So go for it.
Okay. I guess what we'll plug is our new single, Pray. That's out right now. We got an EP coming out April 25th. You should check that out. And just, all of our socials. We got Instagram. We got YouTube. We're in fact actually doing weekly live streams on YouTube. Sometimes it's just me playing video games. But I'm there, baby.
What are the usernames?
Hey, you know what's great? The Upstart Crows. Not a lot of people are using it. We really nailed a good name on that front. I don't have to be like the Upstart Crows 1, 2, 3 or any of that bullshit. We're straight up the Upstart Crows. Instagram, YouTube, Discord, all that stuff. So yeah, check us
Tumblr.
out. Yes, we do have a Tumblr.
Right,
someone made a
Tumblr, right?
Someone made a fan Tumblr, which I was the highest honor I've ever received. It was beautiful. But that's pretty much it.
Well, that brings us to the end of our interview. Thank you very much to the Upstart Crows for coming on and talking to us. We had a great time talking to you. If you made it this far into the video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know how we did, and please let us know what you would like to see.
Thank you for having us, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Yeah, of
guys.
course, it was
Nice to
great
meet
talking
you.
to you.